This article is relevant to anyone hosting Airbnbs across the United States. Other cities and towns will look at LA and they're going to sort of mirror or maybe take ideas from the way that they decided to regulate this business model. That's a big deal for me. What is going on, everyone? My name is Robert. Welcome to my channel where I talk about business investing and other things like that. So if you guys don't already know, I host an Airbnb and I plan on scaling, and I'm still going to scale, but one of the biggest things that I'm looking into right now, like one of my biggest obstacles with this business model, is definitely the regulations. For some reason, cities and regulations aren't cool with this business model. I made a video talking about that, linked right there. Go check it out. I pretty much go into details of reasons why. I pretty much specify a few reasons why cities are cracking down on Airbnbs and how they're affecting the local economies. Oh yeah, guys, once again, I think, I'm sick. Don't mind me. Don't mind the voice. I have to make this video. We got this article and I'm going to dive into it for you guys today. I'll just pretty much break down what's going on, what regulations LA decided to impose on this business model, and where I think we're going to go from here on out with Airbnb and how things are going to maybe take a shift for the better or worse. So this article is titled "Los Angeles Adopts Rules Cracking Down on Airbnb Hosts." One thing I got to address before I get into it, this is talking about apartment buildings and rent-controlled units in Los Angeles. As you see here, rent-controlled units in Los Angeles will be banned from Airbnb and other short-term rental platforms under regulations adopted Tuesday by the city council. So, rent-controlled, this is like duplexes and apartment buildings in Los Angeles area. It's like in West Hollywood, Beverly Hills, like other areas like that, like specific areas. This technically doesn't even pertain to me because I'm renting out of a single family home. I'm renting out of an actual house, not an apartment complex, or not out of rent-controlled units. So as you guys can see, they banned Airbnb in LA. Like, that's literally what it comes down to. Not the first city to do it. There's a lot of other cities that have cracked down on this, and like I said, I made a video earlier. You guys can hit that link and watch that other video. And here's sort of one of the reasons that they decided that this would be a good idea as far as banning Airbnb. With Los Angeles facing a housing crisis and growing homeless population, the trend of commercial Airbnb investors taking homes away from permanent residents has got to end. Okay, so that's pretty much what this chairman, I guess, she decided, like this is an ongoing problem. Here we see that many Airbnb hosts have testified at City Hall that the platform has helped them pay mortgages and kept them in their homes as housing costs skyrocketed. There's definitely two sides to this. This is beneficial for people using this as cash flow and supplemental income, and the city, they have their issues with it. There's this ongoing problem with Airbnb in cities. Here's one of the hosts. This is what she said. LA is becoming increasingly unaffordable. We need Airbnb to survive. Preventing me from renting out of my own home will not put units back on the market. So what you can see here is that there's a lot of moving pieces here that they have to look at. Airbnb's public policy director, John Choi, said that the new regulations are a big step in the right direction. The company is advocating for LA's city officials to craft a separate ordinance that would regulate vacation rentals or units that are not a host's primary residence. There's a lot of moving pieces here. It's not like completely, done for. Like I said, I don't think Airbnb is going anywhere. So let us look at a few of the rules that the city decided to adopt Tuesday for Airbnb hosts. Now, this is something that is really important. I think this right here is what everyone should be looking at. Doesn't matter where you live in the States, you should be looking at these rules and sort of gauging where LA decided to take their regulations. And some of these are a little bit far-fetched, but let's get right into them. Under the short-term rental rules adopted Tuesday, hosts will have to register with the city planning department and pay an $89 fee each year. Not too bad. $89, dude, not a big deal. I don't see that, being a big issue. Let's keep going. Only a primary residence can be rented out, defined as the place where a host lives for at least 6 months per year. Okay, this is an issue for me. I don't want to live in the same property that I'm using to rent as Airbnb. That's a lot of guests on Airbnb's platform don't like sharing a space that they can tell, they don't like to feel like they're infringing on someone else's privacy, which living in the same property for 6 months a year like that, you're definitely infringing on the privacy if you live there and you're still renting out as an Airbnb. Renters can't home share without prior written approval of their landlord. That should be a given. I don't see anything wrong with that. Stabilized, aka rent-controlled units, are not eligible for home sharing, even if you own your own RSO unit. Now, this is like a thing I said, like LA, they have this issue with rent being too high, so they have these rent-controlled apartments and like duplexes where the rent is sort of frozen in place. They're not allowed to adjust the price like to whatever the landlord wants. So I get that. These are made affordable for people to have, accessible, affordable living. So in that type of things, I understand that as well. Hosts may not register for or operate more than one home sharing rental unit at a time in the city. This sucks, guys. This is literally, it caps you out. It gives you a ceiling as far as what you can do, what you can make. This by far is like, it's the worst thing. I don't want to see this happen in my city because I'm all about scaling this business model up. I'm trying to hit 6 figures with this income. So having one rental property is not going to do it for you. Hosts cannot home share for more than 120 days in a calendar year unless they have registered with the city for extended home sharing. Once again, that kind of sucks. 120 days, that's literally, you're taking so much off the table with what you could actually be making by limiting yourself to 120 days, like whatever. I guess going to the city and registering for the extended home sharing would be like an option. So let's see. The extended home sharing option will allow hosts to rent out residences for an unlimited number of days. To get approval from the city, the host has to pay an $850 fee. To qualify, they'll have to have been registered with the city for at least 6 months or hosted for at least 60 days. Hosts who have received a citation in the past 3 years will be disqualified unless they can pay an $8,500 fee to have their case reviewed. Okay, guys, that is, it's pretty much cutting out a lot of competition. So if you're in good standing with the city, and if, paying that $850 fee is not that big of a deal, my city in Springfield, they're talking about a $350 fee, which is reasonable in my opinion. I mean, $350, not a big deal. $850, that's kind of stretching it. I know everything is more expensive in LA, so like, I get that the housing market is higher in LA. So, not a big deal there. Paying a fee with the city, that's normal. That's been discussed in my own city. The $8,500 fee to review their case, now that's kind of making it pricey. I don't think that's worth it at that point. Like, that's cutting into a lot of your profits starting up, and it might take you a while to make that money back, especially with only one property. I don't like fees at all. They're literally just a way to say, like, hey, give me more money. Like, that is unnecessary. Whatever. That's my rant on fees. I just, whatever. Non-residential buildings and temporary structures are not eligible for home sharing. That includes vehicles parked on the property, storage sheds, trailers, and tents. Okay, so after looking through this, it is what it is. I mean, this is what you're getting, guys. So be sure to make yourself known in your city council whenever these meetings come up for you. If your city hasn't regulated it yet, just be on top of this and get ready for whatever's coming your way. Obviously, I feel bad for everyone hosting in LA right now. I don't know what to say. Just be aware of it. Alright, so as of right now, Springfield, Missouri isn't at that level yet, and I'm afraid that they might get there within the near future. But for right now, honestly, there's no regulations for Airbnb in the city that I live in, so I'm going to try to take advantage of that opportunity while it's sitting right in front of my face. So my idea is to scale and have as many properties as possible before they decide to regulate it, because I got wind that they might decide to grandfather in existing hosts. So for me and where I'm at, I mean, it's not that bad yet. Like, I'm still allowed to operate and generate cash flow. This business model is so lucrative that everyone that knows about it is doing it. That's why the volume for hosts was so high in Los Angeles. If this business model didn't work, if it didn't generate cash flow, an insane amount of cash flow for real estate, then nobody would be doing it. But the whole point here is it works, it generates cash flow, it generates you income. A lot of it at that. What do I think is going to happen in the near future? I think cities will start regulating it. My city currently has all these regulations being looked over by a committee, and they just want to come out with the most moral and the most fair form of regulation for the hosts. Because you have to understand, coming from a host perspective, we're not bad people. The city's making it seem like we're out here doing them dirty, but we're honestly not. We're good, hardworking, entrepreneur-minded people that are only benefiting the economy in the local area where we live. So the big question is, do I regret starting this business model? Absolutely not, guys. I am so grateful that I started when I did, and whatever is to come my way, I know that I'm going to get through it. I'm going to overcome, any obstacle. The last thing I must add, and this is where I see the silver lining in this whole situation, Airbnb operates on a worldwide level. They are an international business model. Their business isn't limited just to the United States. So what that means is you could host an Airbnb in any city that is not regulated across the entire world. And what that means for me is I don't necessarily have to be in the same town or city that my Airbnb business is operating, because the beautiful part about it is that everything in the business model is able to be outsourced. So I can literally have everything that needs to be done for my Airbnb to function properly and successfully. I can have somebody else do it for me, and I can still have the margin for profit. That's the level that we're on here, guys. I really think, as time goes on, we'll see this develop more. And as you guys can see, for everyone in LA doing this, sucks for you guys. That's all I gotta say. I mean, if it's coming to Springfield next, that's all right, because I can take this thing to any country that allows me to host without them imposing rules on it. So I saw Graham, he posted on his Instagram story. Shout out Graham for this video. I think he's right. For everyone asking what I think of Airbnb, don't buy property specifically for Airbnb. Don't rely on Airbnb income. Too many people think this property doesn't generate cash flow, but if I furnish it and list it on Airbnb, I can make a lot of profit. And they said, until the city begins regulating it, and then you're stuck with a property that loses money, because the only way to cash flows is if you do short-term rentals. So what I think he's talking about here is like buying up a property that generally wouldn't generate traditional cash flow, like it wouldn't be in a good area or a good location for traditional cash flow real estate income, but people are getting, they're moving all these properties for the Airbnb opportunity. The way that I'm running my business, it's like rental arbitrage in a way. I could talk about it more specifically, but I'm definitely not moving in with my properties, and I'm not taking on all this risk like buying these properties for Airbnb. And he goes on to say, if you get a property that cash flows anyway, but you can make a ton of money on Airbnb, go for it. But I promise most areas will see strict regulation over the next few years, and you don't want to be caught in the situation that destroys your profit. He's pretty much, he's right. Regulations and stuff like that, that's a really big issue for hosts. And your voice matters. So if your city council has a city council meeting regarding short-term rentals and you're hosting, you should go to that city council meeting and give your opinion and voice your opinion. I'm thinking with a long-term mindset as far as building up this business and having it sustain me long-term. I'm ready for whatever comes my way. Don't be discouraged. There's room to grow in this industry. The company is not going anywhere. Jeff Bezos is a private investor of Airbnb, so he believes in the business model. We're in a very early stage of all this developing, so we got to keep an eye on it, and I don't think the business model is going anywhere, like I said. Thank you guys so much for choosing to stick around and hear me out on this. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, like this video, share it with whoever you think could use this information, and I'll see you guys in the next video.